Hey guys, it's Becca with Mama Hodge Crochet. How y'all doing? So I know it's been a while since I've been on. I've had quite a bit of a week. Anytime I've had a chance to video, I've had a kid drop by and want to visit. And you know, when your children come home, you want to visit with them. And so I would spend the day with them and just catch up and see how they're doing and, you know, that kind of thing. And yesterday I had kind of a spa day. If you guys notice, I got my hair done finally. I tend to put things off for a while when it comes to stuff for me. But it was time. It was getting pretty dark and I just don't feel good about myself when it gets pretty dark. I don't know how you guys are with your different things, you know, that make you feel good about you. So I got a phone call this morning. Little bit of bad news. Definitely in need of some prayers. My youngest daughter got in a car accident this morning. Phone rang about 5:30 and she was in tears. She could not calm down. Basically, it's been raining here for several days and she was trying to drive home early this morning from Amarillo. Went out with her friends last night. They stayed the night somewhere, but one of her friends wanted to get home early. So they left around 5:20-ish. On the highway, she hit a patch of wet and began to hydroplane. I am so thankful that we spent the time to explain to our children how to handle hydroplaning, how to handle black ice, things like that. So she handled it correctly. So she didn't flip or anything. She just spun around about 3 times and then veered off to the side of the road, and the back end of her car hit the guardrail. So damages at this point seems minimal. It's the passenger side light and bumper. The only thing that made the car not drivable was that rear tire well thing that kind of goes over had been dented in so badly that it was hitting the tire. So there was no way, because if she had driven it, then it would have just torn up the tire. So she called home. She was panicked. It didn't help that the cops that were there had told her that they were surprised she was alive. You don't tell someone that when they're in shock, and I'm really disappointed in the fact that they did that. Because then her mind goes to the passenger she had in the car and how she could have hurt her pretty bad. She could have hurt herself pretty bad. So she's just been kind of a wreck. And right now I took her to her dorm, got her pillow and her blanket and anything she needed to be comfortable, brought her home and had her sleep in her own bed. So right now she's sleeping and she's doing much better. She's a little sore. We're going to see if that's just from the shock of everything. And then tomorrow, if she's still hurting pretty bad, we're going to go to the doctor and make sure that she's doing okay. The passenger is perfectly fine. She went home this morning, so all is good there. But any and all prayers that you guys can send our way would be completely appreciated, and we would just totally love that. But on a positive note, I have finally gotten some things done. Being sick and everything else, you know, you don't really feel like doing anything. You just want to rest a whole lot. And so I've been gone for a little while, not only with my kids coming and stopping by, but also because, you know, I needed to get some things done. So I have something to show you. Super excited. I finally finished the skull shawl. Have to admit, most hated project ever. Why? Well, the yarn has some scratchy shine in it, and it was rough on my hands. So with the fibro, I could only do so much at a time. And the fact that it's a 3-weight and you have to use a 5mm hook, it just would become tedious. So I'd get about 3 or 4 rows done, put it away. 3 or 4 rows done, put it away. And every time she would come over, I would size it on her and she'd be like, just about this much bigger. So the last time she was here, she said she wanted it about this much bigger. So I just sat down and knocked it out a couple of days ago and got it washed, got it blocked the best that I could, and I will show it to you. I'm very, very proud of it. So if I do it again, I'm going to do it with a thicker yarn. The pattern and tutorial had called for a thinner yarn with a smaller hook, but I've seen it done with a larger hook and larger yarn, and it is just beautiful, especially in an ombre. Oh, so pretty. So let's see if I can hold it up. This is the skull shawl, and it reaches all the way down to there. So when on, let's see here, she wanted it to kind of wrap around and just be, you know, super, super comfortable and hang pretty low. So that's what it's doing, and it's super, super pretty. So glad that that's finished. One more thing checked off my list. Again, here's the cute skulls, if you guys can see. It's hard to see when you're looking at the whole thing, but each row just built up more and more. Now, when I was doing, I followed the tutorial, but then when I did the last few rows, rather than going back and looking at the alternate pattern notes in order to make it where you finished off, I just kind of winged it. So that's how the top turned out. So you've got some pretty there, skull finished, and I just continued to do the in-between shells without increasing and making more. So it came out really nice, and I love how the edge just naturally, with the way that the design is thought out and done, is already finished, so I don't have to worry about bordering it or anything else. And I think it just came out really nice. Once I washed it, it just is so soft now, which I'm very, very thankful of. And I can't wait to give it to her. I would tell you more, but I know she watches my channel, so that part of it's going to be a little bit of a secret. But I'm so thankful that that's done. I've been working on hats for the cancer patients that I had shared with you guys in the other video for my next passion project. I was going to do some of these hats in, you know, send some of them to the kids and send some of them to the cancer patients. But then I got a lot of comments from you guys saying how they love colors. You know, it just kind of gives them something to brighten their day and everything else. So I think I'm just going to stick with getting all of these out of the way and doing some fun colors too. So all of the, just in the description box, I'm going to put the name of the person who made the hat. I'm going to list the yarn I used, the color in that yarn that I used, and I will also put a link to the tutorial so that you guys can go on and make them too, if that's what you'd like to do. Some of them are repeats of other videos, but I'm still going to refresh that and put them again in this video so that you don't have to go back and look, you know, especially newer subscribers. That way everybody's not like trying to search every video, and because that can be quite a nightmare. So if you remember, I got some yarn in the yarn carousel that I picked out. And this hat I did, I believe, I'm pretty sure this is from Bag O Day. So I'm not going to know right now what each pattern is, but I'm going to show them to you now, and then I will put them in order, and down below they'll be in order. And I will try to put in parentheses like similar so you kind of understand which one is which instead of having to keep going back and forth. So this one is the blues from that, I think it's Red Heart. Like I said, I'm going to link them all below, but this is one of them. I really, really like, it's called Texture, and I really like the way that this feels. It's kind of like a, what do you call that yarn? Homespun, but on a thin scale, so easier to work with without all the fuzz and everything else, but still the same feel of the softness. So again, that's that one. And it's just front post, back post for the brim here. And you got some front post double crochets through here, standard top as far as your increase in your double crochets. So that's that one. I've super fallen in love with the diamond pattern. I've shown it before. It's one of my favorites. Once I get to a certain point in the hat, I can continue it without having to keep reverting back to the tutorial or notes or anything that I might have taken. This is the other yarn that I got from the carousel, and this color is just gorgeous worked up. I totally love it. I know for sure this is the Red Heart Unforgettable yarn, and I did it in the diamond pattern with the brim. But isn't that gorgeous? The colors are so bright and super vibrant, and I just really, really like those. And I had enough to make this hat, and then I used, let me make sure I keep these in order for the notes. So let's do it this way. This hat, I definitely used a Bag O Day crochet pattern. This is the one with the puff stitches, with the brim at the bottom. I don't think this one has a brim at the bottom in the tutorial. I might have just added that, because since learning the brim, I'll show you on this one. Basically, when you're finished with the whole hat, and Tamara Kelly shows this in this tutorial. So if you really want like a hands-on, be able to watch it happen and do it that way, feel free to do that. But basically, when you're finished with the whole hat, you go ahead and single crochet, and then you just single crochet 8 and then go back in, come back this direction, back post only, or back loop only, and then you go to the very next stitch. You do a single crochet 2 together, and then repeat. And you do that all the way around until there's nothing left except 2 stitches. And then you just combine them together, bring them back up, and seal off and tie on your ends. So I hope I explained that okay. But since learning how to do that, I decided to do it on this one, because I'm pretty sure this one ends here as a cap, like a beanie, just a regular beanie. But I wanted it to have the same thing because I thought it just would look really, really cute. And I love the colors again, just absolutely gorgeous. And again, all of these will be in the description box. What colors I used, what type of yarn I used, and the pattern that I used. I made, okay, this yarn is that Red Heart Amore that I got in my last yarn haul. And oh my gosh, you guys, It really is nice worked up. I was looking at the yarn label and it is 100% polyester. So if you can imagine how soft blanket yarn is, but in a smaller scale with a little bit softer touch to it. And it looks small, but it stretches. So that's always really, really nice too. So it can kind of fit anybody because it stretches if the head's larger, or if you want it smaller, it fits that way too. So I went ahead and did the diamond pattern on this one, and it came out really, really nice. I'm glad I got some solid colors because I would like to do the cable knit and things like that I was trying to do with the variegated yarns, but it just was kind of getting hidden by the yarn being variegated. So that is that one. And the last one I made last night, kind of made it up. I just did a standard stitch until I got my increases correct. And then I did a front post, a row of regular double crochets. Then I did front post and back post alternating throughout, another row of double crochets, and repeated that. And then once I got down to the bottom, I decided to switch colors and just did a brim of front post, back post, I believe for about 4 rows. So this might be a hat that I can do a tutorial on. I haven't done any tutorials yet because I didn't want to steal from anybody as far as their patterns or their tutorials or things like that. I want to get permission for that first. Plus I need to get some equipment, a better camera that can zoom in, zoom out, because the phone won't do that. So this is the hat that I just kind of came up with last night. And I really like the way that it came out too. I had stopped at 2, but when put on, it was just shy. It came to like right here. So I decided to add another 2 rows of the front post, back post, double crochets. So the whole thing is double crochets. So your standard increase of 12, and then the next row would be 1 and then 2 together, or no, 2 together in each stitch, then 1 and 2 together in the next stitch, 2 and 2 together in the next stitch, and then 3 and 2 together in the next stitch. 3 individual, 2 individual. I don't know if that's easy to understand. I apologize if it's not, but yeah, I'm super proud of it. So I kind of came up with that, and I really, really love it. I think I came up with it. I mean, it was my own mind doing it, but there's probably somebody out there who's already done it. So those are my finished objects. WIP. I only have one right now, besides, you know, working on, oh wait, no, I have one more, sorry. This one is one of the Caron cakes that I really like. This one I'm not going to be able to send to the Cancer Society patients because it's too scratchy. I'm sure if I throw it in the washer, it'll be softer, but I know there's regulations as far as the yarns need to be really, really soft. And I don't want to have any problems with them being able to use anything that I send. So this one will probably get sent to the kids, which I just keep them separate in bins to make sure that nothing gets on them. They don't get contaminated in any way. So this one I made in the diamond pattern again. And I liked the color changes. This yarn in the middle has some speckling of the teal in it. So I thought that was really, really pretty. And then it goes to the brown. And being that the Caron cakes are so big, I was able to get a shawl out of it, or a scarf out of it. And this scarf I kind of made up too. I kind of don't remember what I did. I'm going to have to do some investigative work to figure out what I did on that. But this is what it looks like. So I was just playing around with some treble crochets 2 rows below and trying to keep them in between the ones from the last row. And then just did some regular double crochets for a couple rows, went back and again couple rows of double crochets so that it gave it like a break. So that's where the neck will go. And it's got all the colors. This color is not in the hats, but it was the rest of the cake. I went until I knew I had just not enough left over for one more row. So now I'm done with finished objects. My only WIP I'm working on right now in between the hats is the mile a minute for my son's blanket. It's not as enjoyable as some would think. You're going and you're going and you're going, and it just kind of becomes tedious, and you know you have so many to do, and I don't even know how many I need to do, but I can't connect them. And I think that's probably what's kind of deterring me away from just getting it finished, because so here's one strip folded in half. This blue yarn bleeds, and so it's got a lot of dye in it, and it's bleeding on my finger as I'm working. As I'm crocheting, you know how we all get that dent in our finger from the yarn because we're crocheting for so long. My finger will be purple. So I know it bleeds. And so what I'm trying to do is get all of the strips done so I can pop them in the wash and wash them a couple of times before connecting them to the white, because I don't want to give it to him and have him wash it and then the white turn blue. Yeah. So basically I'm alternating. We've got the blue with the gray border, and then we've got the gray with the blue border. So they'll alternate like this, and then they'll have white connecting them, and then a white border. So I think it'll be really, really pretty. Very, very cowboys. So yeah, so that's my WIPs and faux. I've got other stuff to show you guys, but we're already at 22 minutes, so I'm just going to make another video and we'll go from there. So I guess I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you guys for spending time with me, and I will see you soon. Bye.